Have you ever heard a story so powerful it feels like it's still happening right now? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most enigmatic figures from the epic Mahabharata, Ashwatthama. He's not just a character from a book, he's a Chiranjeevi, one of the immortals, believed to be walking among us even today, in the Kali Yuga. The question that has fascinated millions for centuries is, where is Ashwatthama now? Let's travel back thousands of years. Ashwatthama was the son of the great guru Dronacharya, the teacher of both the Pandavas and the Kaurava. He was a formidable warrior, born with a divine gem, a Mahoni embedded in his forehead, which protected him from all worldly pains, hunger, thirst, and fatigue. He was destined for greatness, a friend to Duryodhana, and a warrior whose skills were legendary. He was, by all accounts, a hero in the making. But the battlefield of Kurukshetra changes everyone. The war was brutal, a devastating conflict that spared no one, not even the most righteous. A pivotal, heartbreaking moment for Ashwatthama was the death of his father, Drona. Tricked by a lie about Ashwatthama's own death, Drona laid down his arms in grief and was tragically slain. This event ignited a fire of vengeance in Ashwatthama's heart that would ultimately lead to his infamous fate. Consumed by rage and a desire for revenge, Ashwatthama committed an act that crossed all lines of dharma. On the 18th night of the war, under the cover of darkness, he unleashed a horrific attack on the sleeping Pandava camp. In his blind fury, he mistook the 5 sleeping sons of the Pandavas for the Pandavas themselves and ended their lives. This was not the act of a warrior, it was a massacre. But his rage didn't stop there. In a final, desperate act, he invoked the most powerful celestial weapon, the Brahmastra, aiming it at the womb of the pregnant wife of Arjuna's son Abhimanyu, in an attempt to end the Pandava lineage forever. This was an unforgivable sin. The use of such a divine weapon against an unborn child was an atrocity that shook the heavens. This is where Lord Krishna intervened. He saved the unborn child, who would later become King Parikshit, the successor to the Pandava throne. And for Ashwatthama's heinous crimes, Krishna delivered a curse, not a curse of death, for Ashwatthama was blessed with a form of immortality. Instead, it was a curse far worse, a curse of eternal suffering. Lord Krishna decreed, "You will roam the earth for 3,000 years, alone, with no one to talk to, no one to offer you shelter or comfort. The pus and blood from your incurable wounds will ooze out, and you will cry for death, but death will not come. You will carry the weight of all your sins, a lonely wanderer in desolate places." Krishna also forced him to surrender the divine gem from his forehead, leaving him vulnerable to disease, pain, and the ravages of time. And so began Ashwatthama's endless, lonely journey. A life of eternal agony, a living embodiment of the consequences of rage and This curse is what makes him a Chiranjeevi, an immortal, but one who is eternally paying for his actions. Now, we come to the most intriguing part of our story. The curse was for 3,000 years, or, as some interpretations say, until the end of the Kali Yuga. Thousands of years have passed since the Kurukshetra war. So, where is he? Does he still walk among us? This is where folklore, local legends, and eyewitness accounts blur the lines between myth and a chilling reality. Across India, from the Himalayan foothills to the dense forests of central India, tales of a mysterious, tormented figure persist. Many of these stories originate from remote, isolated regions. One of the most famous locations associated with Ashwatthama is the Asurgarh Fort in Madhya Pradesh. Locals there speak of a tall, wounded man who is seen visiting the fort's ancient Shiva temple. Legend has it that every morning, he is the first to offer flowers and worship Lord Shiva, seeking liberation from his curse. People who claim to have seen him describe a towering figure with festering wounds, who disappears as quickly as he appears. The air grows heavy, and a strange scent, sometimes described as turmeric and oil used to treat wounds, hangs in the atmosphere. Another compelling story comes from a doctor in Gujarat from the early 20th century. He wrote in his journal about treating a patient with an unusual wound on his forehead. The patient was exceptionally tall and spoke an ancient dialect of Sanskrit. He claimed to be Ashwatthama and recounted events from the Mahabharata with astonishing detail. When the doctor, thinking him delusional, tried to stitch the wound, his needle and thread would not pierce the skin. The man simply smiled, applied some earth to his wound, and walked away, leaving the doctor stunned for the rest of his life. There are also tales from the Narmada River Valley. Tribals and ascetics living along the riverbanks have shared stories passed down through generations about encountering a wandering giant, a tormented soul who seeks only solitude and relief from his unending pain. They say he avoids human contact, his cries sometimes echoing through the valleys on moonless nights. So, what do we make of these stories? Are they simply campfire tales, the product of overactive imaginations, or is there something more? The figure of Ashwatthama serves as a powerful symbol. He is a perpetual reminder that our actions, especially those driven by hatred and revenge, have long-lasting, inescapable consequences. His story isn't just about a curse. It's a profound lesson in dharma, forgiveness, and the destructive nature of unchecked anger. Whether Ashwatthama is a physical being roaming our world or a powerful legend that lives on in our collective consciousness, his presence is undeniable. He represents the eternal struggle between our higher and lower selves. He is the warrior who fell from grace, the immortal who longs for mortality, the living ghost of a long-gone era, forever wandering in the shadows of the Kali Yuga. His story forces us to ask ourselves, if we were faced with immense grief and injustice, what path would we choose? The path of forgiveness, like the Pandavas, or the path of eternal regret, like Ashwatthama? The legend of the wandering immortal continues, a silent, suffering witness to our changing world. Perhaps he is still out there, praying for the end of his suffering, waiting for the cycle of yugas to turn. What do you think? Have you heard any local stories or legends about Ashwatthama? Share your thoughts in any tales you know in the comments below. It's a fascinating mystery that connects our modern world to the ancient epic in a very real, very human way. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into one of India's greatest epics. If you found this story as captivating as I do, please hit that like button. And do you not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more deep dives into the mysteries of history and mythology. Until next time, stay curious.